Hey, thanks for joining me. We're going to look at Violator versus Badrock. I just found online issue one, picked it up because I had to know, and I probably would have picked it up anyway, only for the channel. I wouldn't want to normally read this on my own based on just the characters, but I know that Alan Moore writes this shit, and anytime Alan Moore writes this stuff, it's instantly going to be interesting. And then the other weekend when I went to the mall and they were having a big blowout sale on comics, I just luckily found issue two. So hell yeah, we're going to look at issues one and two. There's at least an issue three. I don't know how far it actually went. I don't know that I care. I just find it incredibly fascinating that in 1995, Alan Moore wanted to write a Violator versus Badrock. He'd already written that Violator miniseries for McFarlane, and I'm sure it was a fantastic payday, and I'm sure he was just jumping on board with that. Get paid. And I also have said this before with some of these books where I'm like, Alan Moore does not give a shit about any of these characters. This is slumming it for him. I'm again, there's no way that I know that definitively for sure. It's just me making assumptions and my own personal opinions. But like Alan Moore, there's no way he's actually legitimately interested in Violator versus Badrock in the same way he was involved with like Watchmen or Lost Girls or any of the really deep works that it kind of obvious that he put his heart and soul into. But here's the thing with Alan Moore, even if he's slumming it and he doesn't fucking care, it's still entertaining as hell. It's still better written than anything any of these other guys are pumping out from Extreme Studios by like a huge portion. But I just get the feeling every time I'm reading these that he doesn't give a shit about these characters. He thinks that they're so stupid. He writes them to be stupid. And it's just how they are. But it's entertaining. So we start out, Washington, just a couple of guys in some kind of like truck of some type, transport truck. And like, boy, this rain, it sure is some rain. Yeah. And the guy's like, yep, some rain. The guy's like, I'll tell you, I don't like it. I mean, it was all in all of the papers. Now, how we're transporting Vito Fantucci, the mobster, to Riker tonight. I mean, they practically took out an ad space, you know. And he's like, yeah, ad space, sure. But why broadcast that we're transferring Fantucci, especially with that new serial killer in town who kills mobsters, rips their hearts out, I heard. The guy's like, hearts, sure. Yeah, well, I just hope our backup comes through when we need it. I just hope somebody's keeping an eye on us all. And so this is a great, perfect kind of, if you know Alan Moore, he loves to do transitions of visual things that end at the end of a page and lead into another thing. And this is the eye of the Violator. It's a distinctive kind of look. I guess McFarlane come up with it. Now, I don't really recall if this weird bug-eyed thing is something that McFarlane designed when he was doing Spawn originally. Either way, it's a visual thing that shows up, but it's just funny. They're like, we're transporting a mob boss, but it's been announced everywhere. Doesn't that seem like a stupid idea? And then, of course, we get the Violator's eye on the previous page, and then he's just there, smashing through the trucks. I guess I should point out, artist Brian Denham. That's a guy I don't know much about. I've seen him do a few things here and there. Jonathan Sabal, he's inked a ton of things. He's pretty dang good. But this Brian Denham, like, he did a few things. He was just one of those kind of mid-range guys that kind of did an okay, serviceable job. I don't know how old he was when he was working here. If he's still drawing, he's probably 1,000 times better as time goes on, like all of these artists. But this earlier stuff, it's not great. But he's not bad. There's some stuff in here that's like, oh, that's kind of not bad. It's kind of all right, my dude. So, yeah, Violator, he smashes open the truck, and the guys in the truck are like, oh, God, it's a bug. A bug totaled our windscreen. So the guy's like, hello, control, this is Sitting Duck. We have a situation and request backup. So they were just talking about how they're transporting a guy, and they announced it everywhere, but their code name is Sitting Duck. That shit's funny. That is Alan Moore writing like he's just coming up with jokes. He doesn't fucking care. He's getting paid a lot of money. Liefeld said that he would get paid $10,000 a script for at least some of the books that he'd write. I don't know if that translates across everything he wrote. But Alan Moore was making a lot of money. He probably bangs these scripts out in like a day, and he's like, "Oh, I just made $10,000 from those Image chaps. They're all so stupid. I'm going to write until I can't write no more." So yeah, so then truck gets smashed, and so then they're calling for backup, and so there's some kind of big bulldozer truck. They're like, "This is Sitting Duck. We request backup." They're like, "You got it, Sitting Duck. Okay, guys. Codename Heartbreaker has taken the bait. Let's get into position." So now Violator, he starts talking, and every time Violator's talking, I feel like Alan Moore's kind of, in a way, talking through him, just with like his own kind of bullshit voice. Violator's like, what a town. All a time construction work going on everywhere. Oh, wait a minute. I get it. This is a trap, right? You guys are pissed at me just because I got a special diet. He goes on to kind of talk about how he loves to eat hearts. Just making, like, this is Alan Moore making fun of the fact that Violator is introduced as ripping hearts out of bad guys. I think McFarlane only ever had Violator ripping hearts out, but not eating them. But Alan Moore just leans into Violator likes to eat these things. So he's like, yeah, I love to eat hearts. And this drawing's all kind of fine. But they bring in the backup, like Sitting Duck. And then so the giant bulldozer truck shows up, backs up, I guess, or maybe this is the original truck. It's a little bit unclear. No, this is the original truck, the Sitting Duck. Inside the back of the truck, there's some slamming sounds. Boom, boom. I gotta say, I like the coloring going on. The coloring's pretty good. But yeah, Violator's here. He's just talking some mad shit. He's just a goofball weirdo. All right, this is everyone's favorite thing. You have to flip the book on its side. Badrock comes out of the back of the truck. The Sitting Duck truck. It was all a gag. They're trying to capture Violator. I gotta say, the Violator here looks pretty good. I've never been a fan of this design. I never thought it was scary. But when Alan Moore writes him and makes him kind of like a funny character, a funny murderous character, I kind of actually start liking the design. And I got to give it to the artist. Like these horns coming out of the sides of his head, and then this one that comes over the top of his body there. He's drawing it to kind of give the bones kind of like a twist to it. I like that. He put in a lot of effort on the texture on the Violator's body. Badrock, he's a character I think is hard to make look unique and make look good. That's as good as anybody's kind of ever made him look in this era with this stupid outfit and his floating shoulder pads and his weird goofball dumbass face. But it's pretty good, all things considered. That's not a bad shot. But it's Badrock. He pops out, and Violator says, give me a break. I just left Spawn in New York. I mean, like, I need another ugly guy in tights with bad dialogue. You don't have all the cool skulls and spikes and stuff. So he's just, I feel like that's Alan Moore just making fun of Image Comics in general and maybe Spawn specifically. Another ugly guy in tights with bad dialogue. Love it. Violator's just talking some shit. He's almost like breaking the fourth wall. I always do kind of find it interesting, like to find like a character like Violator is literally a demon from hell. What would it be like for him to fight a giant, practically indestructible superhero? That's kind of an interesting idea, because I would think that a demon from hell, to me, those creatures they have magic, and they just don't operate in the world of like physics and reality that we can even understand. It's like you can't fight them except with magic. You don't end up in a punching match with a spirit or a ghost or a demon from hell. That's one way that I look at it. I mean, it's a artificial concept, and you can create them to be whatever you want. But to me, magic versus technology is an interesting kind of idea, and that's kind of what this is: magic versus science. I don't know. I'm just kind of waxing off here. Waxing off? Anyway, back to the fucking brilliant book. Badrock, that's not a bad shot right there. I gotta give it to him. And the inking is working really well. Lots of shiny reflective materials on his shoulder pads. Like, it's pretty good. It's pretty energetic. Badrock starts slamming Violator into the ground. He's like, I try to make up for it with her personality. Incidentally, that's quite a breath problem you have. Have you been eating lawyers? And so then, as Badrock and Violator fight, some soldiers and this girl that were, I guess, in the vans or the bulldozer trucks or whatever, they come out. This girl specifically is a main character. And Alan Moore writes her to be really interesting. She's really weird, kind of stupid, kind of ditzy, and hyper-focused and completely out of touch in a way that's funny. She's like, they're fighting, Sergeant. I need to get the situation under control before any damage is sustained. Do you understand? And the soldier's like, affirmative, Dr. McAllister. We have to protect the Youngblood guy. And the girl says, him? Who cares about him? He's on the payroll. It's the specimen I'm worried about. Try not to distress his hide too much when you tranquilize it. So she's like, I don't fucking care about Badrock. I want the demon. And he's like, sure, we'll be gentle. Okay, man, on my command. So back with Violator. Again, another pretty awesome shot. Look at the crazy texture this artist, Brian Denham, that he's giving Badrock here. Like, he's making his skin look like a cracked, rocky material, or it could look like a big coiled shit. Either way, it looks pretty good. The lighting's good. The inking's good. The coloring with the lighting, like the rim lighting on it, that looks really solid. Violator's screaming. He's like, this is senseless, violent. Why are we fighting? We're both gray. We should unite and form a pressure group. Badrock says, hold still just 1 second, you sack of snake guts. I'll pressure you. And the girl says, now. And so they shoot some darts into Violator. Now, this is one thing when I was reading this. I'm like, this is not how tranquilizer darts work, in that you have to know the body chemistry of whatever creature you're shooting it with to know what you need to knock it out at what dose, because you could underdo it and, it could be too low, not affect him. You could overdo it and kill him. And how do you know the chemistry of a fucking demon from hell? I am way overthinking a comic book about Badrock fighting Violator. It's just a cliche thing of, you just shoot a tranquilizer into anybody's ass and it knocks them out. The reality is it doesn't work that well. I need to give also props. I keep staring at the penciling and the inking on these gridded out eyes, and the way that it's given like a round form, how it's like the heavy shadows on the little shapes on each individual cube. It's heavier at the bottom here and then lighter as you go to the top. So it gives it a very rounded feel. That shit looks awesome. It looks tedious as hell to do, but the artist and the penciler and inker really did that really well. That is great. Like, well done, guys. Anyway, they tranquilize Violator. It's that simple to take out a demon from hell. You just trank him, and he's just kind of sitting there, and he's kind of like bugged out. He's like, oh, hey, no fair ganging up. You're supposed to fight clean, one-on-one, until I treacherously stab you in the back and destroy you. That's what Spawn would have done. This is unethical. It's corrupt. I love the voice of Violator as written by Alan Moore. He's funny. And Badrock's like, well, yeah, welcome to Washington. Smashes him in the face, sends him flying. I do like, and I wonder how this was penciled and figured out. I've never actually seen something like this that I've ever noticed before, where it kind of doesn't make sense, but the border, the background, as Badrock hits Violator, the impact is literally shattering the border like shattered glass. And so there's like broken elements into it, and then it looks like the colorist colored in shattered glass everywhere. Like the impact of this punch shattered the border itself. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that. And I kind of like it. So props to the artistic team. So they tranked him, and then Badrock knocks out Violator. And Badrock says, okay, fella, he's all yours. You better call down those transport copters and get him over to the Institute before he wakes up. We've got the demon. Now all we got to do is keep him in the bottle. I laughed out loud when I saw this panel. I think the layout of it's only 2 panels, and having one giant panel this big coming all the way down here, and then plopping this fucking panel over it, blocking everything. I bet that the artist did not want to draw the entire fucking city scene. I get it. You could have found a way around it. But what I liked is that you got 2 helicopters, and they just got Violator strung up in between them, just flying him through the fucking city to take him to this building to lock him up. That shit's funny. That should be the focus of this entire panel and the page. That I love. But also, it being small, gives it kind of like a subtle kind of humor to it, where it's not a giant in-your-face thing. It's just a little tiny thing. It's Violator, the scariest monster, the scary monster demon from Spawn, and he's been tranquilized and beat up by Badrock, and they're flying him off to a building. It's actually kind of funny. Then this shot, I was giving shit to the artist for using this giant panel here to block drawing the city in the background. Well, to his credit, he drew the shit out of the inside of this, like full perspective, like getting like vanishing points all converging in the same place. This crazy hyper detail on the lighting, all these multiple levels. That's pretty involved. You know, Liefeld could not even in his wildest fucking dreams come close to even conceiving of doing anything like that. He has no ability to do it. Good job on the artist side. So anyway, Badrock's there, and with that girl who is she's like, I want to capture the demon. So here he is talking with her. She says, welcome to the Whiteside Parsons Institute, Mr. Rock. And he says, please call me Bad. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. She's like, well, anyway, named after celebrated rocket scientist and occultist John Whiteside Parsons, this institute examines the interface between science and the paranormal. You'll be handling security here for the duration of the project. Badrock says, well, I'm looking forward to working alongside you, Dr. McAllister, or can I call you Sally? He's like, can I call you by your first name? And she's like, she literally just says, no. Through here, we have video recordings of the shopping mall incident last year in New York that inspired Project Dante. You were there, I understand. I think they're talking about the Violator miniseries. I think that's what they're talking about. She's like, you were there, right? And Badrock's like, well, I was not in the mall. I was outside handling crowd control. There's some kind of force dome keeping everybody out. We didn't get inside until it was all over. So she's like, yeah, so we understand. Mall security cameras, however, have just shown us what just happened in there. A group of extraterrestrial beings, strikingly similar to the medieval concept of demons, appeared from thin air. So it's funny. She's seen these things and she just assumes that they're aliens. In no way could it be an actual demon from hell. She's like, they're just aliens. She says, just prior to their departure, this footage shows one of the creatures conjuring some sort of gateway, apparently opening upon another dimension. And Badrock's sitting here, he's like, it looks like hell. She says, here at the Institute, Mr. Rock, we consider such terminology to be counterproductive and judgmental. We prefer to think of it as a potentially rewarding territorial acquisition. Again, I love the very specific characterization that Alan Moore is putting into this girl. She's weird. She's very rigid and she's very locked in and she's kind of stupid. And I think it's hilarious. And even Badrock, that's a pretty good shot. This light source from this projector light, which is what I guess that is, and the light cast up on Badrock, that looks pretty good. So Badrock's like, what? You mean you're filing mineral rights on the Inferno? Kind of like a joke. And she's like, well, our legal people are looking into that aspect, certainly, but there's so much more to think about. Why the research possibilities alone? So she basically, she's like, we are researching something. And Badrock's like, well, you got to learn how to get to this place. You have to get to this hell dimension in the first place. She's like, yeah, we do, but it's not about can we do it? Because once we saw that it can be done, we just had to figure out how to do it, and we've come up with a way. But the problem is that there's it needs a specific power source. She says, the machine works fine in theory. If we had the right power source to pass through these terminals, objects between the machine's poles should be transported. The difficult part is how to bring them back, which depends on this delicate crystal homing sphere, this thing here. So Badrock's like, yeah, well, that's all neat and everything, but without a power source, this whole thing is just kind of academic, right? They're basically saying you've created a portal to hell or some other alien dimension, according to her. They have nothing to power it. She's like, well, that's very astute. Since the being on the video seemed to be able to activate the warp gate on its own power, we needed a similar creature. Imagine our delight when one such creature remaining on the planet decides to visit Washington. So basically, they're like, Violator. We can use his dumbass to power the portal opening up to hell so we can explore and exploit it. So then we cut to Violator. He's like chained up behind laser bars and shackles. Badrock saying, delight isn't the word I'd use. He isn't even pretty when he's asleep. He eats hearts, for God's sake. And the scientist girl, she's like, you're not here to judge a magnificent example of an alien species on its appearance or eating habits, Mr. Rock. You're just here to provide security. He's like, sure, okay. He's like, hey, I was thinking about having a nightcap before turning in. Could I interest you? So it's almost like Badrock's asking her out if he wants to go on like a date. You want to come get a drink with me? Isn't he supposed to be 16 or something? She's like, oh no, I'll be here for a while. Will you just look at those beautiful mandibles? She's just like totally fascinated by this creature. Anyway, cut to, I guess the next morning, here's the big giant building that they're in. And these guys like, hey, morning, Mr. Badrock, we got a delivery for you. They're like, I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's really heavy. And so here's a pretty awesome shot of Badrock. But he's like, yeah, that's my new outfit that I ordered. Take it back to my quarters. I'll unpack it later. So they dedicate this entire page to a big shot of Badrock looking awesome as he tells some delivery guys, that's my new superhero outfit. Go take it to my room. I got duties to perform. Okay. Each one of these shots of Badrock, the lighting is good. The texture on his rocky skin is good. I really like that shot there. And I think the coloring, in some places the coloring is kind of sucking, but in other places I think it works really well. Good coloring. So Badrock goes to talk to Violator, and that's a pretty interesting shot. I like the silhouette of Badrock in the window there. So there's Violator. He's like, oh boy, am I in trouble now. I'm all in chains, and here comes all big and brutal and dominating. This isn't a sex thing, is it? Come on, this is the 90s. We can talk about these things. Listen, it's okay for men to hug, all right? I read this book. It says you got to be sensitive. Let down your defenses. Frankly, switching off these laser bars would be a good start. So Badrock's just listened to Violator just go on. And Badrock's had enough. No, Violator keeps talking. They forgot to color in his own text box. See how the text boxes from Violator have this color specific thing? They didn't do it here. But that's still Violator talking. He says, but then I guess you probably wouldn't feel comfortable with that unless you had a couple of SWAT teams behind you, like last time. Boy, you sure got a lot of tension in those shoulders. And Badrock's finally had enough of his shit. He says, listen, you homicidal little pervert, I'm sick of you. Dr. McAllister may think you some prized specimen, but I think you're from hell. And I look forward to sending you back there if you don't keep out of my hair. And Violator says, what hair? Hey, wait a minute. I get the picture. You got a crush on that cute little devil doctor. Why, that minx, that cheap slut, she's stolen your heart. And I did so want it for myself. Again, this makes me like the Violator. I like the character. I've said before when I read those early issues of Spawn and I reviewed him, I thought he was stupid. He's boring. He's uninteresting. It's because McFarlane's writing him. Alan Moore writes the Violator. He's funny, and I like him. It's so ridiculous. And I've never cared for Badrock, but of course Alan Moore's making Badrock kind of interesting. Anyway, now that Badrock went and just had a little conversation with Violator, he stops in with the girl. He's like, Dr. McAllister, I just checked in on the specimen. He seems to be in good form. She says, it may be, Mr. Rock. I'm not. Have you seen this morning's paper? So basically, it says that Youngblood's Badrock deals with a demon, and she's like, why is there, this is bad for us to have the news media talking about that this situation's going on and that they're attributing it to, magical demon stuff. She doesn't like that. She says, you have no idea what this sort of publicity could cost the project. And Badrock's like, I always thought publicity was kind of cool. She's like, yeah, for rock stars and superheroes, but not scientists. What if somebody steals my ideas? What if some religious nut reads in the paper that we have a demon here and decides to come looking for him? Badrock says, hey, no worries on that score. You're in my hands, and security at this institute is solid, rock solid. You've got your precious monster locked up tight, and there's not a man on earth that can get to him. So it cuts to this shot of Hot Girl. I have to say, unfortunately, that drawing is kind of terrible. Her proportions are weird. Short legs. I don't know why there's a puddle of piss under her. Who is this fucking random dude just standing back there? It's kind of a waste. Half a freaking page, you get the opportunity to draw Hot Girl. And he tried. but it's proportionally, it's just weird, but it's funny. There's not a man on earth that can get to him. Well, who's this? Well, it's a woman. Anyway, she goes up to the opening of this institute that they're in, and the guys, the security guards, are trying to shoo her off. And she's like, no, you can't, you can't be here. You got to go. And she's like, I understand you have a blood devil here. Show it to me. And they're like, lady, I'm sorry. You can't come in here. And she says, you have a blood devil. I am going to destroy it. I am come to purge it in the fires of heaven. Please stand aside. And they're like, all right, lady, that's enough. You need to back off. You're not getting in, and that's final. And they're like, all right. And then I wasn't sure what the fuck happened here. She just said, then may your God be with you. And then it's like they explode in shards of glass, I guess. Because there is glass everywhere. But what did she do? I don't know. I don't know that I care. But it's a pretty exciting, explosive page. She just casually is walking in. Back inside, the alarms are going off. Like Dr. McAllister, we got a red alert in the lobby. It's some sort of lone female terrorist. She's already blown the front door. And she's inside the building, and she's like, but that's impossible. No ordinary terrorist could walk through an explosion like that. Badrock says this isn't ordinary. This is something to do with that gut-guzzling geek in the security wing. This is something supernatural. And stupid Dr. McAllister says, Mr. Rock, here at Whiteside Parsons, we do not use the term supernatural. She keeps driving that point home. He's like, no? Well, maybe you ought to start. Now, if you'll excuse me, this institute is threatened by something from beyond this world, and I need to consult an expert. So Badrock goes busting into the jail cell where Violator is. He's like, okay, mower mouth, listen up. Unless our institute just got ram-raided by Morgan Fairchild, we've got something paranormal on our backs. What's going on? And then again, a pretty awesome shot of Violator. That looks pretty good. The guy going in with the textures, the colors, giving all kinds of highlights and stuff. So, Violator, he says, a war's going on, you simple-minded speed bump. A war's been going on for centuries, and you and your test tube totin' Tootsie walked right into it. It's like this. If I'm a Nazi, then what you've got out there is Israeli intelligence. If I'm Custer, she's the Sioux Nation, okay? She's an angel, and she's here to waste me. Might as well kiss this postal district goodbye. Badrock says, an angel, but angels, they're the good guys. And Violator kind of keeps explaining. He's like, in your dreams and on your Christmas card, bud. Now, come on. There's only a handful of the psychotic bitches on Earth, and I need to know which one it is. Is it the Asiatic one or the blind one? What color is her hair? And Badrock says, white. And Violator says, Celestine, you're in trouble. Come to think of it, so am I. So I think that's all pretty funny. Now we get giant double-page spread of her clothes are just ripped off, barely covering her, like she literally is wearing nothing. And so you got this shredded outfit covering her snizzatch and her boobies and everything. It's really weird. I don't know why her clothes are just suddenly shredded. Normally, I would be like pissed off that I would have to even be reading all this dialogue. I talk about all the time how I hate reading multiple boxes of dialogue that tell you nothing. But this is Alan Moore, one, so everything he writes is interesting and has a point. And two, it's Violator. So I'm interested. He's going to explain who Celestine and angels are. He says, see, the thing with angels, they ain't regular guys like us demons. I mean, demons, we cheat, okay? We're lazy. We screw up. Angels don't screw up. They're like Iceman. They're cold and flawless, becoming angels. They lost their imperfections. They lost their fear. They lost their uncertainty. They lost their compassion, their weakness, their hesitation, their marbles, meaning like they're crazy. Celestine's the worst. During the mop-up operation after the fall, she wore rebel angel teeth as a necklace. It was her who advocated first use of plagues against the Egyptians. It was her who called in the airstrike at Sodom and Gomorrah. She got a citation for overseeing the flood. She led the bailiffs into hell. I don't know. Maybe her halo's too tight. You think the powers of darkness are scary? Wait until you see the light. Wait until your eyes have seen the glory. You see, nothing stops an angel. Nothing slows it down. They're fanatics. If something offends them, they nuke it. If something gets in their way, they go through it. They're implacable. They're impatient. You guys down here, you got paradise all wrong. So as he describes all of that, she's in there just killing the shit out of soldiers with her outfit getting ripped off, so she's just basically naked. But then she's still in just like some shredded bits, and she's still carrying a duffel bag. She opens up the duffel bag and takes out a vibrator or something. And then suddenly she transmutates into her angel outfit with like face paint and leather straps, and her vibrator turns into a giant laser weapon. And Violator says there's one difference between heaven and hell. Heaven can't wait. And then it says next, where angels fear to tread. I like this funny shot of like Violator's head and Badrock's head. So I thought this would be the dumbest comic book I've ever read in my life. And it actually turned out to be extremely entertaining because Alan Moore is just funny as hell. And I love everything that he writes when he's writing these characters. I would love to know what he really thinks about this stuff and how he approached it. You know, he's like, they're sending me a lot of money. I just thought I'd write the funniest stuff I could come up with. I didn't care, whatever. They literally printed anything I wrote. They're so stupid, those Yanks. Anyway, cover to issue 2. So there's Celestine. Liefeld's trying to do his version of a hot girl, giant tits, ripped up outfit, Badrock's face, Violator's face. Okay, kind of fun. Starting out, back to same creative teams. The text continues. Angels, man, they're bright and beautiful. They're certainly bright enough to read newspapers, bright enough to figure out you're keeping a demon here at your big smart institute, bright enough to want to kill, the kill, the trophy, the promotion, bright enough to burn through whatever you put in their way. Yeah, they're bright, they're beautiful, but from a distance, you know, like Hiroshima, that shit is funny. You know, they're bright and beautiful, but from like far away, like a fucking exploding bomb. And again, there's the Dr. Sally McAllister. She just shows up and gets in Celestine's way, and she just smacks her away. And then I couldn't help but kind of laugh at this shot. This kind of low angle on her face is kind of fine. But then, of course, the artist had to like have her tits poking up and just have her nipples just poking up right here at the top. We have to have pointy nipples. This is important. The whole layout of this page is kind of weird, but it works. I mean, I was able to follow it, so it's fine. But she's showing up to kick ass and take names. So, giant double page spread of Badrock, where they get to do all kinds of double lighting and textures and shit. Looking pretty good. Badrock says, shut up. I don't want to hear it. This sucks. Whatever they're paying me to handle project security isn't enough. Dealing with the Holy War isn't in my contract. Violator says, how about under Act of God? Nah, you're right. No way are you going to last 1 minute against the wrath of the Almighty, which is why you need a professional, okay? Somebody who's handled these beatific bimbos before. All you got to do is open up these manacles and switch off the laser bars and then Badrock says, you'll do nothing. You think I'm on drugs or something? You're staying put. I can handle this woman or whatever she is on my own. In 2 minutes, I can. And then Violator interrupts him. He says, in 2 minutes, we'll both be meeting God. So what are you going to say to that? Or what are you going to say to him? And Badrock just suddenly, he stops and kind of gets maybe like he's getting a change of mind. Violator just keeps going. And I'm actually surprised at how much I'm like, I'll read all this text by Violator when Alan Moore's writing it. He's like, well, cat got your tongue. She's out there, man. She's coming this way. I can feel her. You feel her too, right? That sort of humming. She can just feel us. Angels just know stuff. She knows your name. She knows your mother's name. She knows every gadget in this institute and what it's supposed to do. She knows what your cute little Dr. McAllister's Project Dante is all about. She knows about us. Me as a battery to open gateways to the afterworld. And I bet she doesn't like that one bit. My guess is she'll take me out first, then total the institute and everyone in it. Knowing Celestine, she'll use the pillar of fire stunt. It's sort of her trademark, you know. And Badrock's like, well, she'll destroy the whole institute, but why? And here's a shot of her holding this glowing sphere. That's kind of not a bad shot of the angel. She looks kind of good. But yeah, Badrock's like, why would she blow up the entire building? Violator continues, because of Project Dante. What do you think? It's in their code of war. I think it's Article 5, trespassing on divine jurisdiction, opening Hellgate, son. It's a no-no. Celestine will waste the Institute and anybody who might know how to rebuild it. That puts your dishy little devil doctor top of the list, pal. She's definitely going to be in that number when the Saints come marching on. So we got another shot of the Angel's feet and soldiers shooting at her. So then Badrock's like, I don't need this. I've got a horrible feeling where the hairs on my neck should be that you're telling the truth. I guess I don't have any choice, do I? So Badrock continues to say, if you beat the Angel, then I'm pretty sure I can get you back under wraps. If the Angel beats you, well, you won't be a problem either way. And so Violator's like, hey, thanks for the pep talk. He's like, yeah, don't mention it. Same goes for me being actually dumb enough to release you. Don't mention that, especially not to Dr. McAllister. So Badrock releases Violator's shackles and kills the laser bars. So there's another awesome shot of Violator. And again, they did those eyes really well. That looks so good. He's like, oh, yes, this is so much better. You do have a heart after all. And Badrock's like, well, yeah, it's staying where it is, so don't get any sudden moves. You take care of that Angel, and then all bets are off, okay? Don't think I even like you, all right? Or even that I can stomach you. I've hated supernatural stuff ever since I was a kid. If I didn't think Dr. McAllister was in danger, and there's a knock at the door. He's like, wait, what was that? What? So there's a knock at the door trying to bust in. So they have just a few seconds to kind of talk back and forth about what is their plan going to be. Badrock's like, it's her, isn't it? All that stuff they told me in Catholic school, it's all true. Violator says, what, you mean all that good versus evil stuff? Badrock's like, I guess so. The eternal struggle, right against wrong, angels against devils, down through time. And Violator says, yeah, is that boring or what? Me, I could use a change. So Violator starts transforming back into his ugly, gross human clown form. Badrock's like, wait, what the fuck? Where'd the demon go? And he's like, oh, he had to check out, so he left me holding the floor. It's kind of a timeshare arrangement. So Badrock gets in the face of clown Violator, and Violator's like, hey, not so rough. These clothes cost money. Badrock says, you little weasel, you're going to tell me what happened to the creep with all the mandibles, or do I have to beat you from here to Kingdom Come? And right then, Celestine busts through the wall, laser vibrator staff blowing a hole through the wall. She's arrived, and the way she's been described, no one's going to survive this. Of course, naturally, we have to have nothing but a hot ass shot of her bare cheeks and the little bump of her little snatch, long legs, and put the characters right between them. These are the 90s, and I'm here for it. And so the clown starts saying, the demon, it's a monster, a fiend. You have to kill the demon. And Badrock's like, yeah, right. You got it. Wait, what? And then so the clown says, please, lady, whoever you are, take care of this big, gray, ugly demon before it eats me. I thought that was hilarious. Violator pulled a fast one. He turned back into his human self so Angel Celestine would see Badrock and think that he's the demon. And she does. So she jumps through the air. That's actually not a bad shot. Of course, we've got to have her ass sticking right out at us. But again, these are the 90s. The tilted panel's pretty cool. And so she believes it. She says, tremble, blood devil, quake, abomination, thou art judged. Badrock's like, hey, wait, I'm not. Badrock drops Violator, and he's smiling as he kind of sneaks away. And so the angel, she's like, silence, filth of the pit. You are as ashes in the searing gaze of heaven. You are dust before my thundering wings. And Badrock's kind of dazed already. And she continues, vomit from the malbolgia, tapeworm from the bowels of hell. Use your last breath to beg for God's forgiveness. And Badrock says, you're making a mistake. So she picks up Badrock and she says, a mistake? Where were you when I leveled Gomorrah, when Babel toppled? I am the radiant host. I am the Seraph Celestine, and I do not make mistakes. So she throws him up against the wall. So then she picks up her laser lightsaber vibrator stick, and she says, now, by the articles of war, I formally charge that you have contravened the fall ceasefire agreement and are furthermore in breach of the Eden Non-Intervention Treaty. The sentence is annihilation. And Badrock's like, wait, you can't. So she zaps him. Boom. It's this weird panel where the artist decided to, like, I'm going to make her look fucking sexy as shit, and I want to show her from the front. So now she's got her vibrator laser stick behind her, blasting Badrock. It's a weird compositional pose, but we get to see hot girls' tits and ass, so we all win, I guess. She blasts him, and she's like, you're stronger than you look, maggot of the abyss. Most hellspawn disintegrate instantly before our white fire. Still, the brief embarrassment of your continuing survival is soon rectified. One to the head, perhaps. That should suffice to scatter your depraved, perverted thoughts across the chamber floor. Thus perish all who cleave to darkness. Thus shall the light forever triumph. So I kind of like her dialogue. She's such a rigid idiot. And but then a voice behind her says, yeah, right. She's like, wait, what? So Violator, he's back in giant demon lizard monster form, and he punches his hand through her chest, ripping her heart out right between her giant fucking jugs. He says, hiya, Celestine. I gotta say, babe, you're getting too sloppy for the game. Guess your heart's not in it, right? Rips her heart out. He says, maybe we ought to try a new game. How about charades? Oh, listen, I got one. Film title, okay? One word. Starred Mickey Rourke and Robert De Niro. I honestly don't know what they're talking about. Maybe some of you can tell me and I'd get the joke, but it's still funny. But she's sitting there standing. He's holding her beating, squirting heart. This is an interesting shot of like her, like the holes in the middle of her chest, but the artist put her hand trying to like squeeze her own giant tit. Kind of weird. And so Violator's like, oh yeah, that sweetheart from the Cosby Show, she was in it too. Come on, how many clues do you need? And then she drops to the ground. He's like, quitter. So down on the ground. And so we get just a shot of Violator doing like a guitar riff thing, you know, like he's playing guitar, like you can almost like Photoshop a guitar in his hand. There's like weird colors and musical bits behind him. He's like breaking the law. Am I great or what? I wonder if that's supposed to be like a Beavis and Butthead thing, because I know they do that. Anyway, hell wants me for punishment. Humans want me for study. Heaven wants me for barbecue briquettes, and none of them can take me. So he's sitting there rocking out that he's a badass. Her dead, sexy, bloody body's on the ground. He says, as for you, Celestine, honey, it could have been all so different. I mean, granted, you ain't exactly my type, but who knows? With a nice pair of mandibles and a set of compound eyes, showing, and he does like a pelvic thrust thing. I got to give it to the artist. He did the pelvic thrust thing. But Violator continues. Still, I guess it was never to be. For one thing, you remind me too much of my mother. You're brutal, self-righteous, domineering, and dead. Anyways, I'm going to take advantage of your intrusion to skip this dump and get back to saving hearts and minds in jars. Later, sweet cakes. So he kind of futzes around with her body, drops her down, and he walks off, and then her eye opens. She's still alive. And then she picks her ass up, and of course, she's supposed to have a giant hole through her chest and blood dripping out, but of course we're going to make her sexy and fuckable, so we got to have tits and ass everywhere. She crawls into the room with the portal to hell, where they were saying like someone has to touch 2 points of this battery opening thing, and it would open a portal to hell. She says, you tricked me, demon, you laughed at me, but I am Celestine, and you shall not laugh long. If hell wants you for punishment, then hell shall have you. So she touches the things, and giant energetic shot. She's opening the portal to hell. Kind of a good energetic shot. Badrock wakes up. He sees her heart on the ground. He's like, ew, gross. He sees her vibrator laser stick thing. He picks it up. And the girl, I guess this is supposed to be her. Is that her there? Doesn't even look like the same girl. Anyway. But so scientist girl, McAllister. What the fuck was her name? I've been saying it this whole video and I can't remember it suddenly. Sally McAllister. But she comes running in the room like, what happened? Where is the specimen? He's like, well, she sort of escaped. See, there was an angel And she's like, I know, she slugged me. She's through there in the warp laboratory, and I think she's dead. You have to come take a look. Hurry, she's interfered with the dimensional displacement unit. There's something wrong. And Badrock's like, wrong? What? You mean like apart from having a divine vengeance, trash, the Institute, and a demon on the loose? And so they look and see that she's connected herself to the terminal. She's powering up the apparatus with what's left of her life force. It's kind of like it's cooking her as she's stuck on there. But the girl's kind of pissed off because the machine's powered up, but it's not opening a portal. She's like, God damn it, my technology didn't work. I'm a failure. I'm pissed off. I was so certain that this would work. So they keep talking back and forth. So now there's a whole bunch of pages as they kind of like assess the damage. Like, holy crap, everyone's okay. Where'd the demon go? We don't know. The girl, she's upset because she's like, I staked my whole reputation on being able to open a hole into another dimension. But even with an angel powering it, nothing happened. She's like, I'm finished. My machine didn't work and my project's gone to hell in a handcart. And Badrock's looking and he opens up, I guess, his doors or something like that. It's kind of unclear. He opens up something. He looks in this other room. He's like, well, on your first point, you're wrong about your machine not working. And on your second point, you're wrong about the handcart. So a portal to hell is opened. I do like that shot of Badrock. That actually looks pretty effing good. But the portal to hell is opened. And there it says next issue, Mondo Inferno. So that's it for this book. That's the end of issue 2. It's the only ones I've got. I kind of want to definitely find issue at least 3. I don't know how many it goes, but I do want to see where this goes. It's at both times kind of stupid and kind of endlessly entertaining. Again, I get the feeling that Alan Moore doesn't give a shit. He's just kind of having fun and just playing around, but it's still funny. It's still entertaining. The art's kind of fine. There's moments where it looks pretty awesome. So what more can you ask for? It's Alan Moore, so it's always going to be kind of interesting. So Violator versus Badrock, or just Violator Badrock, I don't know. Way more entertaining than it has any right to be, but that's what you get when you have Alan Moore. So good on them. I need to find the continuation of the story and see how it ends. I need to know where this goes. But it's kind of wild. It's kind of crazy, but that's all I've got for this one. Thanks for joining me as always. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.